Understanding the rules for points and motions is crucial. Before attending the conference, you and members of your team should discuss and practice the rules.
After hours of formal debate and caucusing, it's now time to put your ideas on paper and your words into action. The first step in this process is drafting a working paper. This less formal draft of a resolution is just a collection of potential solutions submitted by delegates. Working papers are the best way to circulate ideas and realize opportunities for collaboration with your fellow delegates.
Once the committee shifts to this point, start using informal debate to your advantage. Speeches during moderated caucuses can be used to present your ideas and affirm your willingness to work with others. During unmoderated caucuses, circulate ideas among delegates to seek out sponsors for your ideas. Once you've found a like-minded group, or bloc, to work with, you can then use unmoderated caucuses to actually draft a working paper or resolution. Ask your director to clarify the specific procedure for conference uses of working papers and resolutions. Also remember that pre-written working papers and/or resolutions are not allowed. Both documents should develop as debate unfolds, thus reflecting the actual will of the committee.
Good, it's looking really good. You should definitely bring this up on committee. I think it'll really move the committee in a good direction. So yeah, I'll definitely submit that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thanks.
When the draft working paper is complete, it is then submitted to the director for review. If accepted, the handwritten document will be photocopied and returned to the committee. As this is an informal document and not a draft resolution, it's neither introduced to the committee at large nor referred to as anything more than a collection of ideas. The committee will then debate the ideas found within each working paper, looking for the most plausible solutions to include in future draft resolutions. This can be done by returning to the speakers list or motioning for a moderated caucus.
After revisions are made to working papers, you and your fellow sponsors will be ready to consolidate ideas into a series of formal clauses. This is the first step in the draft resolution process. The resolutions developed in most committees are quite straightforward, containing a series of preambulatory clauses preceded by a series of operative clauses. Preambulatory clauses introduce the problem of the topic under review and the committee's mission, while operative clauses contain the action of the resolution. Starting with specified terms, such as recognizing and bearing in mind, you'll write preambulatory clauses that describe the committee's intent, motivation, and frame of mind in writing the resolution.
Operative clauses will follow the preambulatory clauses. Operative clauses outline the actions the committee decides are required to solve the topic at hand. Each clause should then be numbered and separated into its own paragraph. If you've already written your working paper in this resolution format, this process will obviously move swiftly.
A sample resolution and list of preambulatory and operative terms can be found in delegates' preparation materials. Some committees, such as the International Monetary Fund or International Court of Justice, have resolution formats unique to their simulation. Refer to your background guide to find out what format your committee will use.
Yeah. What about number 2? I don't like number 3 right here. Number 2
Before submitting the draft resolution to your director, make sure to collect the proper number of signatures from the body on the document. IMUNA conferences require every resolution to have the signatures of at least 1/5 of the membership of the committee. In a committee of 150, this means 30 signatures. In a committee of 60, this means 12 signatures. Committees with 20 or fewer delegations require at least 5 signatures. There are no restrictions on how the signatures should be divided between sponsors and signatories. As a signatory, a delegate is simply indicating that he or she wishes to see the draft of the resolution on the floor. Sponsors are traditionally the drafters of the resolution, with their signatures signifying an endorsement of the content of the resolution. It is important to note that IMUNA recognizes quality over quantity. No distinction will be given to delegates who simply put their signature on as many documents as possible without actually contributing to the drafting process. Likewise, some of the best delegates do not actually sponsor a resolution, but are active members of the committee.
Once the draft resolution is in proper format and has a minimum number of signatures, it can then be submitted to the director for review. If the director accepts the draft resolution, it will then be typed, copied, and distributed among the committee as draft resolution 1.1, draft resolution 1.2, and so on. Contingent upon your director's discretion, sponsors will be given the opportunity to suspend the rules of debate and formally introduce their resolution to the body once it's been distributed. At this time, the director will also entertain the committee's non-substantive revisions to the draft. This means changes in spelling or punctuation. Often, the director facilitates a brief substantive question and answer session between the sponsors and the rest of the committee. This whole process usually lasts about 10 minutes. Let's watch as it unfolds.
Are there any points or motions? Argentina, to what point do you rise?
Motion to suspend the rules and introduce resolution 1.1.
This motion is in order at the time. All those in favor? All those opposed? By unanimous vote, the motion passes. I would like to ask the 5 sponsors to come up front and introduce the resolution.
1. Recommends the establishment of a United Nations Environment Program initiative on the prevention of transboundary air pollution that would
A. Work with regional bodies such as the Economic Community for West African States, ECOWAS, the South African Development Community, SADC, the Arab League, the Organization of American States, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, and others to develop regional multilateral environmental agreements on transboundary air pollution that address
1.
Are there any non-substantive changes to the resolution? Costa Rica, you are recognized.
At the end of clause 2, that should be a semicolon, not a period.
Thank you. We now have 10 minutes for a question and answer period on the substantive issues of Resolution 1.1. Pakistan, you are recognized.
Concerning with clause 4, many of these pollution problems are in underdeveloped countries. So as Pakistan, we're an underdeveloped country. We're wondering how are you going to assist countries like us?
The United States does recognize your concern and would like to emphasize that the solution within clause 4 is only for more developed countries. However, if you look at the 11 other solutions provided in our resolution, those do address underdeveloped countries fairly well.
Debate resumes once this process is complete, with the committee returning to the speakers list.
After a resolution is adequately debated, it is inevitable that the committee will want to change some aspects of the document. Because a draft resolution cannot be edited like a working paper, changes can come about in one of 2 ways. The first is by amending the existing document. The amendment process allows delegates to submit additional clauses and subclauses to the draft resolution. Delegates can also use amendments to delete or reword existing clauses. IMUNA conferences do not accept friendly amendments. Therefore, a certain number of signatures is required before the director can accept an amendment, just like during the draft resolution process. This time, however, only 1/10 of the body needs to sign. We will return to a discussion on voting.
The second way to amend a draft is by motioning to withdraw and reintroduce the resolution. If all the sponsors of a given resolution agree, they can simply withdraw the resolution, make changes, and then resubmit the document as a new resolution. Resolutions are numbered in the order they are presented on the floor. The draft will be numbered accordingly. The motion to withdraw is especially useful in cases where sponsors want to combine resolutions and/or make drastic changes. The option to submit an amendment still remains. As the committee completes the final drafts of resolutions and amendments, the director will look more favorably upon motions to close debate and move into voting procedure.